Chapter 7. Survival of Interests. At this moment, Kṣitigarbha Bodhisattva respectfully addressed the Buddha, saying, "World-honored one, from my observation, every thought and intention of the sentient beings in the world of Yama is accompanied by the creation of karmic causes. Rarely do they engage in virtuous actions, and once they accumulate some merit, they indulge in pleasure and luxury, abandoning the wholesome and upward-looking thoughts they initially had. When they encounter negative conditions, such as the influence of bad friends or the unrestrained behavior that comes with power and authority, their unwholesome thoughts and actions increase. Such individuals are like those walking in mire and marsh, carrying heavy stones, karmic obstacles, on their backs. With each step, their journey becomes more arduous and burdensome, sinking deeper into the mud. However, if they encounter a good spiritual mentor, capable of alleviating their burdens or even completely shouldering their load, it is because this spiritual mentor possesses great strength. Not only that, but the mentor personally assists and, using their wisdom, helps the individual escape from the marsh. Once on solid ground, the mentor doesn't forget to advise them, saying, "In the future, be cautious and understand the dangers of the marsh, do not venture into it again." World-honored one, beings accustomed to committing evil deeds often start with the smallest, seemingly insignificant transgressions, thinking nothing of them. However, as they persist, their actions escalate, accumulating immeasurable sins. For those individuals with such habitual tendencies, it is imperative that, before they approach death, their parents and relatives engage in virtuous deeds on their behalf, cultivating merit to facilitate a better rebirth for them. This may involve hanging banners or canopies in front of Buddha and Bodhisattva images, lighting oil lamps, reciting incomprehensible scriptures, and offering various incense, flowers, clothing, and food to images of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and virtuous saints. Simultaneously, in the presence of the dying person, chanting the names of Buddha or Bodhisattvas, enunciating each name loudly and clearly, ensures that the dying individual can hear and comprehend, ultimately being received by the eighth and seventh consciousness. By doing so, those who have engaged in wrongdoing, and who, by the natural order of cause and effect, should fall into the realms of suffering, will now, due to the sacred conditions created by their relatives, not only have their negative karma diminished, but also sow the seeds of virtuous roots, completely eradicating past sins. If, within the 49 days following their death, efforts are made to perform various virtuous deeds and dedicate the merits to the Dharma realm, sentient beings, and the departed, the individual can permanently escape the cycle of suffering, attaining rebirth in the human realm or heavenly abodes, experiencing the highest and subtlest happiness. Simultaneously, for the living relatives engaged in virtuous activities, immeasurable benefits and joy will be attained. Due to this reason, today at the Grand Assembly, I earnestly advise the world-honored one, all Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, as well as the eightfold division of devas, humans, and non-humans, to admonish the sentient beings in the world of Yama. I implore them not to engage in killing or create negative karmic connections, and especially to refrain from superstitious rituals, worship, and offerings to ghosts and spirits, seeking blessings from malevolent entities or supernatural beings for the benefit of the departed souls. Why? Because the act of killing and generating negative karma through such rituals provides no benefit to the deceased, on the contrary, it contributes to the creation of new negative karma. Even if the deceased had accumulated some positive merits in the past, allowing them to be reborn in heavenly realms or into prosperous human families, the ignorant actions of their relatives at the time of death, involving the commission of negative deeds, create entanglements for the departed. This may delay or even alter the fruition of the merit that would have led to a heavenly or affluent human rebirth. Moreover, most people lack an understanding of cause and effect, are unfamiliar with Buddhist principles, and fundamentally lack virtuous roots. Based on the negative karma they have individually created, they are destined for the realms of suffering. Under such circumstances, how can one bear to let their relatives perpetuate further negative karma and descend into even more agonizing realms of suffering? For example, there is a person who returns to his hometown from a distant place, having already consumed all the provisions he brought and having gone without food for 3 days. Furthermore, the belongings and packages he carries weigh over 100 pounds. In this most difficult moment, suddenly, he encounters neighbors and friends who ask him to carry additional items for them, adding to the hardship of the individual. World-honored one, from my observation of the sentient beings in the world of Yama, as long as they can perform even the slightest virtuous deed based on the teachings and principles of the Buddha, whether it is as fine as a single hair, as minute as a droplet on the tip of a hair, as light as a grain of sand, or as small as a particle of dust, despite its apparent insignificance, the benefits of such deeds will not be in vain. Every fraction of effort can lead to personal gain. While delivering these teachings, there was an elder in the assembly named Marbijña. This venerable elder had long ago attained the realization of the Dharma nature of non-birth and, through various skillful means and wisdom, manifested the appearance of an elder to educate and liberate sentient beings in all directions. Now, with folded hands, he respectfully inquired of Kṣitigarbha Bodhisattva, saying, "Great One, for these sentient beings in the southern part of the Yama realm, after the end of their lives, if their various family members, both young and old, engage in numerous virtuous deeds on their behalf, simultaneously establishing a vegetarian hall to support the Sangha from all directions and creating various wholesome causes, can the individual who has reached the end of their life receive significant benefits, or even attain liberation?" Kṣitigarbha Bodhisattva replied, "Elder, I will now, with the grace of the Buddha's power, briefly explain this matter for all present and future sentient beings. Elder, in the future and the present, beings of various kinds, at the time of their impending death, if they are fortunate enough to hear the names of a Buddha, a Bodhisattva, or a Pratyekabuddha, regardless of their past sins or lack thereof, can attain liberation. If there are men or women who, during their lifetime, have not engaged in virtuous deeds and, on the contrary, have committed many misdeeds, their family members, both young and old, perform various virtuous activities for their benefit after their death. In these virtuous activities, 1/7 of the merit is acquired by the deceased, while the remaining 6/7 of merit benefit the living individuals. Therefore, virtuous men and women of the present and future, upon hearing of such merits, should strive diligently to cultivate themselves while their bodies are strong. Every portion of this merit is something they themselves will attain. Once a person has passed away, the soul exists in a state of confusion, unaware of the extent of its karmic consequences or merits. Within the 49 days after death, the soul remains oblivious and may even undergo assessments in various celestial courts to determine the quantity of its sins and merits. Following the judgment, the soul is reborn into a specific realm within the cycle of existence, the 6 realms. During the period before judgment, the soul experiences immense suffering and anxiety, desperately yearning for its living relatives to perform virtuous deeds to help alleviate and rescue it. Particularly for those burdened with heavy karma, they may descend into various unfortunate realms. Throughout the 49 days before rebirth, the soul earnestly hopes that its living relatives will accumulate merits to deliver and aid it. Once the 49 days pass, with the judgment of karmic consequences and the determination of the rebirth destination, there is no recourse. The soul must follow the decided karmic consequences and rebirth location. If the individual had committed significant evil deeds during their lifetime, they may endure suffering for thousands or hundreds of years in unfortunate realms. In the case of heinous crimes leading to the Avsi hell, they may endure countless eons in the extreme torments of that hell, subject to its relentless tortures for eternity. Furthermore, elder, for those beings laden with sins and karma after their demise, their family members make offerings before Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, arrange vegetarian feasts either at temples or in their homes, and use the merit accrued to bestow blessings upon the deceased. However, it is crucial to note that during the preparation and offering of these feasts, whether it involves raw or cooked rice, flour, vegetables, or any other items, one must not casually let them fall on the ground or dispose of them haphazardly. If, unintentionally, something falls and gets soiled, it must never be wiped clean and offered. Doing so is extremely disrespectful and sinful. Before offering anything to the Triple Gem, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, one must never taste a single morsel, let alone consume it beforehand. Violating these principles, consuming before offering, or lacking reverence and sincerity during the offering, will result in the deceased receiving no benefits. Conversely, diligent, respectful, and wholehearted offering of feasts, ensuring cleanliness and orderliness in all items offered to the Buddha and Sangha, will allow the deceased to receive 1/7 of the merits generated from these virtuous deeds. Therefore, elder, if the beings in the world of Yama can sincerely conduct feasts and offerings for their deceased parents or relatives after their passing, both the departed and the living will reap the benefits of meritorious blessings. As Kṣitigarbha Bodhisattva spoke these words, in the Trayastriya heaven, there were countless billions of Yama realm spirits who developed boundless body resolve. After Elder Marbijña completed the merits of this supplication, he respectfully paid homage to the Buddha and Kṣitigarbha Bodhisattva, then returned to his seat.